and they are ready to get started.
And this will be interesting because in some way this will play out quite differently, I think. Perhaps you can trick your opponent. Uh, Perhaps you don't want your own show and tell, letting your opponent use a card.
Exactly,
Uh,
yeah.
and then you get the same effect, so to speak. That said, perhaps the uh, one player will not go for it till he feels pretty safe.
Yeah, and they have their own personalities showing in the deck. Kjarten with the Thoughtseize here on turn 1, and his black splash revealing quite away. Gerogiy, on the other hand, does not run black in his deck. He opts for the red splash instead, with Volcanic Island or perhaps some Pyroblasts after sideboard. So they have different takes on the same strategy here. And,
Yeah, Gerogiy has the more classical setup with Cunning Wish main and a wish board
Yeah.
with both answers and different win conditions.
And once again, we're really sorry if we butcher any names. We're trying our best here, but as we're not familiar with the names ourselves, it's difficult for us.
Yeah,
So-
the in particular these two are probably the ones we have the most
Yeah.
problems with. But we are sure that you're great guys, and
Great players and been playing great all day. And here we see a good card from Kjarten as he plays the Boseiju, making a lot of his spells uncounterable and being able to resolve and set up his spells with more efficiency.
that seems like a great card to have here.
Yeah.
Feeling free to resolve your dig through times
Alright.
and eventually show and tell as well.
Yeah. It's gonna be really interesting to see how these players, more experienced with the decks, are gonna set up their show and tells and how they approach the matchup. Kjartan here going for the intuition, being able to search his library for pretty much anything, getting three copies and his opponent chooses one of them to put it to his hand.
Yep.
You can of course search for 3 different cards, but the most common thing is to just slam 3 of the same card and getting one into your hand, sort of like an instant speed demonic tutor.
Yeah, exactly. In these combo decks, that is most often the way you use it.
Yeah, and the Boseiju instantly paying off, getting the show and tell, and at instant speed getting to tutor for show and tell and making it uncounterable on his turn with the Boseiju. Possibly putting an Omniscience into play for both players as well. So, Kjartan, uncounterable.
And he goes
show
for
and
it,
tell.
it seems.
Yeah,
Yep, here it
just
is.
goes for it. Yeah, and it's gonna get Force of Will, but it can't be countered, so that force was a bit of a waste there.
Yeah, it was, but I'm not sure those cards would have mattered in this particular game anyway. But still,
Probably not, but it's not certain.
no. I one way I found to talk against myself is, if you find a brainstorm, then
Yeah. Exactly.
or if you have a brainstorm, because the fuse is short. There's not much time left.
And he dig through times in response.
Wow.
That's why he wanted to Force of Will.
Ah, okay. So there.
just putting an extra card into the graveyard to feed and be able to get that
True.
dig through time.
There was a clear purpose with it.
Yeah. Both players putting into play Omniscience, and Kjartan has the Emrakul to just finish up the game, I believe. And right, I'm not sure what that was about, but
No,
well,
it's
Kjartan taking the first game pretty handily there with a early resolved show and tell on the back of Boseiju.
And the turn 1 Thoughtseize was probably providing a lot of safety for Kjartan, both in getting rid of a card and in
Yeah.
got the information.
Yeah, the information is really important in this matchup. Knowing that the opponent does not have the Cunning Wish there was quite important, I think.
Very true.
Because I believe that if he had the opportunity to Cunning Wish in response to one of those spells, that would have been a big impact on this game.
Yeah, possibly.
And possibly what he was looking for with that Digs Through Time that he was trying to resolve.
Yeah.
Trying to resolve it before the Omniscience came into play, just so that there were fewer mana options for Kjartan to be able to counter that Digs Through Time.
Yeah,
So-
exactly. And then since the Show and Tell has already been played, and Omniscience are about to enter play, Kjartan is all in on his plan, and if Gerogiy finds the Cunning Wish, he might turn the game in his favor.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's really interesting, and we saw there the Thoughtseize was really important for
It
the
was.
outcome of that game.
It
I
was.
felt, even though it only took a ponder, it gave so much information that he made it able to go for the win.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
Intuition is a great card, just finding the right pieces. Buseiju was really important, just for the peace of mind, almost, just to know that you
Can resolve your spells and
and
continue with your plan.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, information is always great, but when there is key moments where everything decides, then if you already know if you should go or if you should wait, then yeah, that's invaluable.
yeah, it truly is, and it's really cool to see these experienced players how they maneuver in these situations.
Yeah, agreed.
So both have had a long day getting here, and they're well worth the spots. And this is gonna be really interesting to see how this shapes up.
And we'll see if Georg manages to leverage his going first position here.
And we can see part of Georgiy's sideboard strategy in his hand. He has the young Pyromancers in his sideboard and puts them in matchups where he might want a bit of a different angle of attack.
Yeah, and
Yeah, and the deck is so full of spells that doesn't really disrupt his combo at all, and just being able to attack it from two fronts at once is quite good.
yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he has brought it in here.
Yeah, he has it in his hand right now, so
Oh, yes, yeah.
so we're probably gonna see a turn 2 young Pyromancer here,
Awesome.
I believe. And that's something the red offers for this deck that the black version does not offer, really.
No, there are some other combo decks, black based,
Yeah.
who in this type of situations like to board Dark Confident.
Oh, right. Yeah.
But perhaps it's not as a good fit here. I mean, there are Force, Omniscience, and Dig Through Time. They cost $1 million.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, you
other cards as
really
well.
don't want to flip an Omniscience with Dark Confidant. That seems awkward. And Kjartan is forced to force pitch in a Show and Tell, just fighting over this Pyromancer, knowing that he will probably just lose to it if it gets to stay in the game. And it's such a powerful card in its own right, the Pyromancer, that it's worth fighting over for both players here. And the Pyromancer is gonna resolve, and this might be really important for the outcome of this game, as it really just could run away with the game if left unchecked. And assuming that both players has a good amount of disruption, that might be all you need. A
Yeah.
single threat just running away with the game. That's what the most of the Delver decks thrive on.
Yeah,
So-
and Kjartan has to win through show and tell, and I mean Georg still has that part of the deck in his deck still.
Yeah, of course. With the Cunning Wish package.
Yeah, so I believe he's in a great position here.
Yeah, this seems to be a really good start for the blue-red version of the deck. Just managing to put a threat on the board early and possibly having a good defense for it against a deck that doesn't really pack a lot of removal or disruption against creatures at all.
No, he has some options in his board against creatures, but he's not very likely to have brought those in here.
No, you don't really expect to face Young Pyromancer when you know your opponent is on a Omni-Tell list.
No, and even if you do expect it, those sideboard slots, if you taken them into your deck, it costs space.
It costs space and it could be dead, assuming that your opponent did not bring in his Pyromancers. So
Exactly.
It's, you have to risk it in that case, and that's not always worth it. You might just want to avoid that part of the strategy from the other player and try to go for your own combo as good as you can.
Yeah.
So the Young Pyromancer is beginning to do work here, and without the third land, and no cantrips either. I assume we can see one Omniscience in his hand, but other than that, it seems like he doesn't have a lot of action going.
Nope.
And Kjartan with the third land, let's see if he can find a show and tell to cast for that mana. He pitched one earlier, so yeah, there's the second
Here
one.
comes show and tell again, so...
But yeah, Omniscience into play for both players. Dig through time for Kjartan.
Anything in
and,
response?
I believe we're gonna see a lot of responses.
Yeah.
Here. We see the dig through time in response to the dig through time. Both costing 0 mana, of course, since Omniscience is in play. And the Force of Will is trying to counter the dig through time for Gerogiy. With the Pyromancer triggers going around on the stack as well.
It'll be a few years till the stack is empty again.
Possibly, yeah, possibly. So this is a part of Legacy that's quite complicated. That the stack offers so much triggers and abilities all the time that it's not certain that this is gonna play out the way you think it is.
No, definitely not. But do you know what card that is?
I am not sure what card that is. That's a card that I do not recognize the art of. So
It looked like he targeted dig through time.
yeah, and it's not something I'm familiar with. So
Yeah, that it must be the split decision.
yeah.
But I'm not sure what that does.
Could we get the split decision up on the screen? That would be amazing from the production crew. But in the meantime, we see some tokens being generated here from Gerogiy, and the dig through time is being resolved from Kjartan, having more winning the counter war.
Yeah.
Basically, so Kjartan is in a good position to just chain into his combo and win here, finding Emrakul. So split decision. That's a card from the conspiracy. It has Will of the Council. Choose target instant or sorcery spell. Starting with you, each player votes for denial or duplication. If denial gets more votes, counter the spell. If duplication gets more votes, or the votes is tied, copy the spell. You may choose new targets for the copy.
That is pretty cool.
So, being a two-player game, you actually get to choose yourself which mode it's gonna be, right?
Yeah, basically. That mechanic is often seen in Council's Judgment, the white sorcerer.
Yeah, that's the most common one. Well, Kjartan just running away with the game here. The Emrakul being uncounterable and just winning the game. That's not as predicted with the with the Cunning Wish there.